So I was saying, I think I would like to be part of the organizing committee because
Uh,
that's where my strength lies, like coming up with the theme, the panelists as well. But I think if we're trying to choose speakers or panelists or the theme discussions, we can also do a call for papers where people can show the different presentations, but all must be at the theme of inclusive education, and they can choose different areas which they can present on. That is before the panel discussions, so we can have some presenters and then have some panel discussions as well.
yes. Okay. Very good. Yes, absolutely. I think that's going to make us a real strong summit if we do that kind of mixture. Dr. Amber, I'm curious because you were in the United States and you're in Hong Kong now. What is the difference in inclusive education in both countries?
In these two particular countries, there's not a whole lot that's similar. So
Yeah.
that's a good question. There's not a lot that's similar. And so most of the kids that have some complications are in different schools or in special schools.
Okay.
So what I'm working on is kind of eradicating those differences and educating. I work with many of the, not too many of the local schools because they're not quite ready to have someone come in. So most of the schools that I work, no, all of the schools that I work with are internationals. And so that's what we're really working on now is really to educate people, educate teachers, provide proper training so that they're not scared. Because what they're doing right now is, and oftentimes is, they just quite simply don't know what to do, and so they don't. And so my goal is training and creating new opportunities. And so I work with one school that is inclusive and was kind of designed to be inclusive. And there are a couple of other ones that we're working to build an inclusive structure within their schools so that families can come into Hong Kong and the children can get the education that they need without being here in person full time. And so I think you probably found me on LinkedIn because I've been advertising the Autism Summit that we're having. And that is really just to eradicate some of those stigmas that happen here. And I honestly didn't think anyone would come, to be quite honest. I didn't think anyone would want to present.
You do some assessments before placement, or they just place these learners in the school, this special school?
So in the special schools that are government schools, they must have an assessment before placement in the special schools. And so when they come to my center, I don't typically accept the state assessments. So we'll offer to do the assessment for them, but the state, I can't get anything from them. So yes, for the state funded or the government funded schools, they do need the government assessment, and they don't accept anything except the government assessment.
I think this is an issue everywhere.
It is an issue everywhere.
Wow. And maybe Dr. Amber, I know your time difference is an issue at this point and a challenge to get you involved, and we'll try best respectful of that. But probably when we get down to the organization committee, which is going to work on topics and speakers. First of all, you probably could be a good speaker on this and should be, but you may have some input that is different from the rest of us in the group.
It sounds like a pretty diverse group that has quite a bit to offer here. So I'm looking forward to hearing all the different perspectives.
We do. I'm working on, there were a few people that have signed up from the Middle East, which I was hoping they were going to show up today. We still need people, and I'm working on that from South America, because we have nobody at this point. Part of that is a language problem.
I
And
do
go
quite a
ahead.
few connections for the UAE, if you'd like for me to forward some people your way.
Yeah,
It's
please.
about 2 years there, so I do have some people there. So I can
Because-
send some people.
Because we'll have different categories. We'll have people that want to be on committees. We'll have people that want to work on things. And we'll have people that want to be part of the presentation. So we need people and monitors who can monitor the whole thing. So we need people, in particular, once again, I think we've come up with some good areas, but we need perspective like yours. People like, again, from the Middle East, Arab countries in particular. More people I think we need from the Asian countries. We need that. So I'm working on that. And Australia is an issue because of the time difference, but coming to meetings and not coming to meetings doesn't mean we can still not participate in the whole event. So Sonia, just to summarize what I just talked about before you got here, which is probably good because I didn't record it, is that we're at the point now that we have the 5 committees that we have discussed. And we're at the point now we need to start setting up those 5 committees. And Mary's coming in from Uganda. So what I'm going to do is we have those 5 committees, is to send out to everybody in our group links so they could sign up for whichever committee they're interested in and have them sign up for them. So we set up those committees. Then meet again in 2 more weeks to meet with those committees. Obviously, we're going to have to set up a head in each committee. And then so they can start working in the different areas. Once again, so just to summarize again, hello, Mary. Is that there's a steering committee, there's a marketing committee, there's a technology committee, there's an organization committee, which is going to work on speakers and format and topics. And there is a program committee, which technically the organization committee will turn it over to them once they've done their work. And the program committee are now going to work on setting it up, including the scheduling and getting in touch with all the potential speakers and all the participants in there. So anybody you know, Dr. Amber, particularly if there are people in your area right now, but anybody, we certainly need as much perspective as we possibly can on this thing. So the next thing that I worked on, we talked about it at the last meeting. And Dr. Amber, too, what I want to do is probably next week, because we brought in, and if you look at the credentials of the people that have signed up for this, particularly in the last couple of weeks, they all have potential to be speakers. They've got expertise in different areas. Is hopefully meet with people and just kind of have a talk about what is your skills and how would you like to participate. So I may do that next week if we can get people to show up. So the other thing that I worked on last time we met, we discussed the fact that we were looking at a June date. And I sat down and just worked on a chart at this point. I'd like to turn it into a Gantt chart at some point on whether that could be done or not. And even though I'd like to do it in June, to do it, it would mean meetings going on constantly between now and June. We are a volunteer group, so we can't ask that out of people. If we were a company paying these people, I think we could do it. But the best bet is to, in anything above the equator, it's summer in July and August. So the best bet is to come back in September and do this. That's what I'm proposing at this point. Do it at September 21st is just a date I picked out of nowhere. But I put together things such as you can see on here, that we meet with all the committees. The steering committee will meet with all the committees and just talk about what's expected of them and suggestions on how they can move forward. All the committees after that would ask them to have at least one meeting prior to start working on things, but at least get together for one meeting up to that. The program committee, am I confusing committees at this point? Actually, that's the organizing committee, so I gotta fix that. We'll determine the dates, times. No, that's the program committee. We'll do that. They'll figure out the format, how we want to do this. Do we want to do it one day? Do we want to do it 2 days? And that kind of stuff. And then the steering committee and the program committee are going to work closely together. So the program committee and the organizing committee are going to work closely together. So that we'll bring them together as a steering committee to just make sure they're heading in the right direction. And then at that point, the organizing committee would meet to start just talking about topics and potential participants in that. And at the same time, we'll get the marketing committee to have their first discussion on how they perceive we can market this and what kind of tools do we need to do that. And also we can get the technical committee to at least have an initial discussion on what Zoom are we going to use, which I have in mind what we can do. And then all the aspects that need to be worked out with Zoom, because obviously the Zoom is going to be an important part of all this. The steering committee, then we'll meet again with everybody. And then the organizing committee by the middle of June will recommend participants to the steering committee. And then the program committee would take over and confirm all those participants. And then we meet again in July as a group and just update everybody where we're at. And then the program committee will then set up the agenda. The marketing committee will then finalize what needs to be done from a marketing standpoint. We will meet again in August to bring everybody together. But then the technical committee needs to do their testing of the system. And then also all committees will meet just prior to the event, and then we have the event. That's what I'm proposing at this point. Dr. Amber, are you organizing your event? Is it your event?
It is. Yes, I am. I'm organizing it. We have, let's see, 18 speakers and 2 breakout, or 2 panel discussions.
And have you set up committees like this?
Yes, that's why I did it this time also, was because I've done that in the past. So this one was a little different because I didn't know anybody. So we did essentially what Miss Rachel said, and we had people do proposals of presentations that they had interested in and reviewed them first. And we started in, we started in July.
And the event is going to be when?
It's April 20th.
Of next year.
of this year.
Of
So
this
we
year.
started
Oh my
early.
God, so it's a couple weeks away.
Yeah, next Saturday. So, yeah, we started in July 2023, so it's April 20th, 2024.
And looking over what I just showed, is that, I mean, obviously, we're not looking at the detail of it, but does it look feasible to do, kind of thing?
It's definitely, and it's a lot easier because it's over Zoom. And there's a lot that you don't have to deal with because it's over Zoom. So everything that I saw looks like it's laid out in preparation to be effective.
Okay, and now, once again, just to think about the 5 committees that I've outlined a couple of times, if you can remember them. Is there a need for another committee?
I can't remember them. It's
Okay, let me just go
I've
again.
been
So you get the
47 in
steering
my
committee,
head.
steering committee that's doing everything, overseeing everything. Let me bring
Sure.
it up again. So you got the steering committee that's overseeing everything. Probably will be a small number of people. I can't envision more than 6 or 8 people on that group. Then you've got your marketing committee, of course, that's necessary to do that. This is, I gotta fix the title on this, but this is the organizing committee. This is the one that's going to, once again, set up who the speakers are, what the topic should be, that kind of thing. Then you got your technical committee that needs to work on your Zoom stuff. And then you get your program committee that once the organizing committee has set everything up, come up with themes and speakers and participants is a good word. Then your program committee would take it over from there and start organizing as to who's going to speak when, what's the time commitments, that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, all these committees work together in some way or another. For example, if somebody wanted to do a presentation with the shared screen, or if somebody wanted to do a video, they have to work with the technical committee.
And that looks pretty much like what we set up.
Okay.
Very much so.
I'm trying not to get more than 5 committees, because then it becomes a complex system. And they do overlap. They do multiple responsibilities. Okay, if you feel that we've done that correctly, that's good. So your event is in person?
It is in person. It's in
Where?
person.
Where?
So it's in Hong Kong. So things were shut down quite a bit for COVID in Hong Kong. And so it's a very, very important for things to be in person. I was corrected on that we could not do virtual. It was necessary for us to be in person. And so for this initial event, it's all in person. I thought we'd maybe have about 100 people. We've had to move to a location where we're expecting about 2,500. So people are interested in talking about it.
And are you charging them, or is it free?
So we're charging, but we've given away about 2,000 tickets. So we're trying to get people from lower income families. That's who we want there. Teachers, physicians, psychologists. We want those people there. And so it's pretty much, we've given away all of our tickets.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very good.
Can I ask a question?
Harry, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hi, Dr. Amber.
Hi, Mary, good to meet you.
Yes, good to meet you. Yes, I'm Mary. I also work as a learning support educator, so that would be a great opportunity for me. But anyway, that's not it. So just to bring me up to speed, sorry, I joined in late. So what's the event about exactly? Like Dr. Amber, the event you've talked about in Hong Kong.
Oh, sure.
Is it a
So
yearly event? Is it a one-off? Does it happen like from time to time?
It is the first ever autism event in Hong Kong. So it's just an autism summit. It's just for one day, all day event. Saturday, April 20th. We have 18 speakers and 2 panels. And we brought people from around Southeast Asia to come and talk about various topics that we've vetted to make sure that the people of Hong Kong and Southeast Asia are getting accurate information. And we're trying to demystify autism. We're trying to make sure that people don't see it as a disorder or disabling condition, and to make sure that people create inclusive opportunities for people that have autism. I work specifically with children and young adults, so that's my focus, but we have all across the lifespan, something for all across the lifespan.
So,
Okay, thank you.
and also welcome Nina. Nina is from Uganda also.
Thank you, Dan. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Nina.
The one thing we've talked about, and I think we wanted to be more generalists on the subjects, but whether we should break down the topics on different types of disabilities, which becomes complicated. For example, Dr. Amber, you're working with autism, and different people in this group work with different areas. Nina, for example, is epilepsy. So obviously each one has its own set of inclusive education issues. But I think we're going to try to keep more general on this for at least the first time to do this. And the other discussion was whether we need to do it regional. I think that may be complicated too, because we want to be a global issue on this. Just so everybody knows too, again, just to reiterate, when we decided to do this summit, one of the reasons we wanted to do it was to increase awareness, for one thing, in many different fields. And I did post on our Facebook site what we determined was the audience for this, and help educate and bring awareness. That then also we're going to reconvene afterwards and then discuss, okay, now this is it, things came out of this. This is what came out of this. And what can we do now that we've gained ourselves in knowledge on this? And Rachel, Dr. Amber too, and everybody, being a part of Rotary, we're a part of a 1.4 million network, which is in almost every country. I'm not, should be in Hong Kong. I think you have some Rotaries in Hong Kong. Now how can we get Rotary involved in this? How can we get them, because education is one of the things that Rotary wants to focus on, though I don't think they've ever focused on inclusive education, not as a group anyway. So can we get now a message out, or a guidance out to the different Rotaries in the world to now go and talk to their local people and do things with it? That's one potential thing that could come out of it. We're not sure yet until after we do the summit, where we want to go with it after that. But the initial summit, and we are an advocacy group, is to increase awareness at this point and get people talking together, and get people thinking, and hopefully in the end run to create change. And we certainly will be reaching out to the Rotaries afterwards, but we don't know exactly when involved. So sorry about the dogs. It's not my dogs, but that's our goal, ultimate goal. Number one, summit is to bring awareness. Number two, probably take some action out of it, but we're not sure what it is yet.
Thank you. If I may, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Mary.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead,
yes.
Mary.
Oh, thanks for that information. Yeah, it really let us know what exactly the aim is. I read a bit, but yes, that's more insightful. So, like, I just want to know, is this something that you're planning to have like on a yearly basis, and or that is something that will be decided on after the evaluation, after we've had this person? And
Yeah.
secondly,
Go ahead.
is there a plan for it to be in person, like Dr. Amber said? Yes, I know virtual is the way to go, but also there are quite benefits that come with in-person meetings, and more, sometimes, like, how can I say, they are more rich and greater idea sharing, and, and other, things that come out of that. So is there a plan that maybe the future summits shall be in person, or for now, the focus is going to be virtual for a certain season of time?
Okay. Answer your first question, is going to be an annual thing. We don't quite know yet at that point. I think we'd like to make it an annual thing, but it all depends on the success of the first one, and then we'll have to determine that afterwards. As far as what the second part of the question, which is, are there going to be more things come out of it, of sharing of information, all that kind of stuff? I can actually foresee maybe smaller events coming out of this, and based on once we learn and what we hear in this summit. I'm just giving you my vision of it. I think it's a group decision on what we do after that, and we'll probably have a brainstorming session on, now that we've done this, what can we do? What can we do?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're not at that point yet. Once again, I think everything's open for discussion at this point, but the first thing is to do the summit.
Okay.
Well, there's no question we need to get Rotary involved in it. There's no question. But we'll take a look at how we're going to do that after this, because once again, Rotary has done a lot of things on education, but not really focused on inclusive education. And also, we had a discussion on what is the difference between inclusive education and special needs education, which maybe that needs to be addressed also. There's many topics we can talk about at the summit. I think that organizing committee needs to do that. Are there any other comments? So once again, just to summarize what we're going to do, because we're at the end of the hour here. I'm going to send out a link to everybody in our group. I'm continuing to look for new members to come in, because we have areas we're still weak in. And I'll identify those areas, so maybe people in the group can help us with that. Actually, in the other issue too, of course, in countries that don't have English as a first language, that's a challenge. First of all, we are going to have Zoom provides translation services for closed caption. So we will have that available for people. But the summit will be in English. And then I forget what the second thing I was going to say on that, but that's a challenge. We're doing this in English, so now that limits us as far as language countries that don't speak English, which is a concern of mine. So anyways, again, to summarize, we're going to set out a link for every committee so people can sign up for those committees. And we're going to send out a link also for people that may be interested in participating in one way or the other. That would be either speakers, moderators, or panelists. And have people start signing up for that and showing an interest in that. I'm going to try to gather another meeting that's not a meeting of the whole group like this. That just so people can come in and talk about what their skills level are and what their interests are, so we can get a better sense of that. That would be good for the organizing committee. And then also, the timeline that we've seen, I'm gonna put a Gantt chart together on that. So that we all can see actually on a visual calendar, how this whole thing is going to happen. And I will send that out. So the next step would be to meet again in 2 weeks, but at that point, we should have committees formed. And I'll be in discussion with each committee to see how they want to structure themselves. And see, number one, who wants to take the lead on that committee. And that committee will report to the steering committee. Mary?
No, I was saying sure.
Yeah.
So let me, maybe the question I had was, are there any requirements, special requirements that you look out for someone to be on a particular committee, or it's basically just
Yeah,
voluntary?
requirements to be on the committee is, no, I mean, for me, the requirements of the committee is you have an interest and a passion to be on that particular committee.
Okay.
There are two committees that probably need some sort of skills level. One is the marketing committee, because you need to have some sort of skill level in that area. And the other is the technical committee. We would have to have a skill level there. I actually already have somebody who's very skilled on technical part of it. But hopefully we can add a few more onto that.
I definitely would not be joining that committee.
God bless the people that there are. We need them.
Okay.
And we haven't figured out yet too, and I'm not sure which committee's gonna do that. It may be defined in the committees of whether we need a budget. And if we do need a budget, figure that out. The Rotary Club World Disability Advocacy has a little bit of money that we can use. But if we need to get more than money than that, we gotta think about how we're gonna raise that. And that's why I was asking you, Dr. Amber, again, are you charging or not charging? Because that was one of the discussions, was that should we charge for this?
And I didn't want to charge. I didn't want to charge at all because we had actually gotten sponsorships. And so we worked with major companies to get sponsorships. So the whole thing was covered. I had some other people pushing me to the whole charge thing, which is why I gave all these discount codes that were like 90% off, because there was no reason to charge. I'd rather have people there than
I agree with
charge.
you. I agree with you. And actually, then you create the possibility of another committee. We could get sponsors too. And the
Absolutely.
sponsors can give us money. And
Mhm.
also, I was thinking about opening it up to other Rotary clubs that also want to work on this as a joint project of Rotary clubs. So that's
Mhm.
another potential. So there is a potential then for another committee, and that's your fundraising committee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at dollars for this, you definitely need one committee to manage that.
Yeah. Sonia?
I was wondering, I'd seen something about vetting the members that need to join the committee. I'm right about that?
Venting them? Is that what you're talking about?
Was it something about vetting to, there's
I don't
something
think
I've seen
so.
about
I mean,
vetting.
to me, there are two committees that would need some sort of venting. It would be the technical committee and the marketing committee, but still, there may be people that want to be in that committee that want to learn or have some knowledge, even though they may not be strong in those two areas. So I did not anticipate doing that.
Yeah, because I was actually wondering how, of course, the technical team needs to have the correct information of the, the exposure as well to certain aspects of it, more of like facilitators. The question I actually want to ask is, as I was hearing your discussion, how possible is it for us to sort of run a questionnaire to just get the basic understanding of the members, to see what their strengths are, to see what their interests are, to see what their focus is. You see, what are they taking from the summit as members of this group? Because then it will help us also to sort of define the scope. Because I'm really worried about the scope that we will manage to cover. Is it something that's going to be too big? And then, it means that we have too much to chew on, or is it that we can define a bigger scope and then see how we're going to break it down? I'm still struggling with that, to be honest with you.
Are you talking about scope when you're talking about the topics to be discussed, or are you talking about the administration?
Actually both, because the administration has to be equipped to meet the scope of the topics.
Mhm.
And then again, if the topics are defined, we can also have the right, skill set for it. So
Right.
it goes hand in hand. That is the only thing I just can't see, in the bigger picture that I have for the summit.
Okay, so I do believe the questionnaire would help that. When I did have people sign up for this, one of the questions was, what is your interest or skill level? And so we have a little bit of information on people that have signed up so far, and we can look for that, but maybe a questionnaire for those that are seriously interested to say, what is your skill level, and what expertise do you bring to it? And that's why also, Sonia, I didn't want to rush this thing. That's why I put it off to September, because to rush it, we would make mistakes. And I don't want to do that.
True.
So let's do this. Let's get this, see who's on the committees, and then talk to that about that. I share your concerns, and sometimes keep me up at night, but I feel more comfortable that we have till September to get this thing together. And look at Dr. Amber, she started last July. So she's 6, 7, 8, 9 months working on it, but it is an in-person event as opposed to And once again, I think that organizing committee needs to decide, is this too big for us? Is 2 days too much for us? Is even 1 day too much for us? And maybe for the first time around, maybe we want to make it a smaller event. That needs to still be decided.
Yeah, because the stakeholders will have to be defined in this, definitely.
Yeah, no, I certainly would not want to move forward that if I didn't feel we could handle it. I'm willing to say, let's do a half-day event if a 2-day event or even a 1-day event is too much for us. And let's minimize the speakers and the subjects for the first time around.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I'm getting back to Mary's question. I mean, learn from the first time around, and then maybe make it a bigger one next time, Sonia.
True. We start small.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Nina.
I was wondering, there are some universities or institutes that are maybe equipped in the area of disability, but I was just wondering if that is also something that we wanted to explore, bringing in some of those bodies to support what we're doing.
In what way? To be a part of the administration or running it, or part of participation?
I think it would be both, depending on what it is we want more support in. Because, for instance, I am a professional fellow on inclusive civic education, civic inclusion, rather. And our program was part of the Institute of Community Inclusion. It was supported by the Institute of Community Inclusion, and that's Boston, Mass.
Okay.
And they have quite the program, and they have actually been one of the organizations or institutes supporting that particular program.
Okay.
So if it does help, I can make an introduction if you'd like. And
Yeah,
then
why don't you
we can
do
see
that?
supports.
They maybe have some strengths they can bring to us in many different directions,
Yeah,
including experience.
yes. I
Okay,
think that could also be of great
sounds
use.
good. Yeah, why don't you reach out and let's kind of explore this offline too, because obviously we don't want to go out after everyone in the world, but if we could,
Yeah,
we could identify some that we feel might bring strengths to us, that would be good.
sounds good.
Okay. Okay, how's everybody else with it? Everything at this point? I'm disappointed in the attendance today. I'm much thankful for those that did show up today. Thank you for that. We'll continue to work on that. Last time we had over 20 people in the group, so you never know from week to week, month to month, meeting to meeting, who's going to show up. So thank you all. So the next step is I'm going to set out links for four of the committees. I think the steering committee has to be selected people, but the other four certain people can sign up. Okay.
True.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, stay well.